Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dan French here. It's Tuesday, so that means it's the French Workbench podcast happening live, streaming live here from Las Vegas at 6 p.m. And we have a full studio again today. Thank you guys all. For everybody out there that's made this show, if you guys like the content, please hit the like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. We really want the channel to grow. We need that support. Anybody out there that have any comments in the comment section, hey, let us know. Let us know what we can do for you. I'm your host, Dan French, and we're going to go right across the room here. First off, we have a full studio, and we have a really good guest today. He's one of our, actually a new person that I've come across here, and he's got a lot of good information to talk about marketing here in Las Vegas, and also he is somebody we can talk about with Vegas in general, as far as he's seen a lot of Vegas changes. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Mark Grenier. Mark, what's going on today, buddy? How are you?
Great, thank you. Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, man.
A lot of good information for sure.
So, Mark, you're with Odyssey, right?
Yes, Odyssey. And if you're not familiar with Odyssey, it was CBS for like 100 years, literally.
Okay.
And then we were in Intercom for about 5 or 6 years, and then we switched our name over to Odyssey, and we're a local, regional, and a national media firm.
CBS, like the channel?
Yeah.
CBS, cool.
Yeah, a lot of CBS TV. We had at one point, we had the TV, we had the billboards, and we had the radio. And so then they sold off the TV, they sold off the billboards, and then it was radio for many, many years. And now we're digital radio.
You got a lot of different radio stations that you're involved with, right?
Yeah, well, Odyssey is the umbrella for 98.5 KLUC.
Right.
And then 94.1, the mix with Mercedes in the morning.
Okay.
And then we have 100.5 is KXQQ. It's our rhythmic station.
Uh-huh.
And then we have it's an awesome station, KXTE 107.5, which is our alternative station. And then we have CBS. It's kind of ironic, but it's CBS Sports. And then we have KXNT 840. It's a news talk station. And so 6 really good stations. It's been a pleasure to work with them for the past.
And is that one company that you all have, as far as Odyssey just owns all those stations, or you just contract with them or something like that?
We own this
Gotcha.
station, and we have 200 and over 40 stations, and we're in the top 50 markets.
Nice, nationwide.
And we have a cluster of 6 stations here in Las Vegas, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So let's go ahead and Matt Shields back. What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's up? I'm well, thank you. Very good.
Anything happening new in your world? I know you were out this weekend, right?
I had a staycation.
Did you?
Yeah.
And how did that go?
It was marvelous.
Where'd you stay at?
Virgin Resorts. So
Okay.
I'd obviously been to the Hard Rock before, but never gone down there to.
Since it's changed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they switched it. I forgot they switched it.
Yeah, they switched it out.
Completely switched.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still. I mean, the Hard Rock was the Hard Rock. Like, the Hard Rock was legend. I think the Hard Rock went wrong when they overbuilt it and extended it, and it's like a big space. But it was still cool. I had a great experience there.
Yeah, the redo.
Pool was good.
It's off the strip, too, that
Yeah.
facility's not, like, right down in the middle of everything.
It was
Did you
cool.
go in the pool though? Like I heard some
Yeah.
rumors about the pool there before was not really too good,
well,
man.
I would say that it's not a pool that you want to open your eyes in. And if you do, you want to do some Optrex or Visine. You call them Visine.
Right.
You want to clean that out right away.
Clean it out.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was very good. They have like a family pool and they have an adult pool. And actually went there to see a performance act that I really liked.
Did they change the inside out quite a bit?
Yeah, it's redecorated. They changed the pool. The new pool is really cool. I think it's called Aliyah, and it was good. I mean, we had a great time. It was very convenient to stay there.
Yeah.
Just because with the event that we went to, if you're a guest, it's like much easier than. And it had a great time. It was a really good time.
Good, man. Good.
Yeah.
And so we also have Mr. Joe Dragon. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Dan?
You got a nice background there, man. Looks good.
Yeah.
Got the whole city of Las Vegas sitting right behind you. What have you been up to, man? You've been out and about doing your thing. I know you were here on Saturday, right? So
I was here on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's been a blur since then. What I've been doing.
you about to yawn right
Oh
there,
yeah,
man?
football started. You got any other football fans, or it's just me?
I
Radio,
Yeah.
CBS Sports, right?
Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
I like football a lot. I
You
mean,
guys-
last night's game was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I thought something. I don't know, because you've been here for 35 years, right, Mark?
Right.
So I mean, there's been all this talk all that time about getting sports team. Obviously started with the Knights, and who knew that gambling and sports mixed so well. Otherwise probably would have done it earlier. But I think last year when we had the COVID restrictions, Legion Stadium was empty. You didn't really have a buzz. I didn't feel like we had a buzz about the Raiders going on, even though that was their first year.
I didn't go to obviously the Raider game, but last year I went to a UNLV game and there was 1,000 people in the arena or the stadium. You talked about weird.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000 people.
Well,
Yeah.
it looked full. I actually.
Well, yesterday was full.
I
Yeah,
had
it was the
an
first
offer-
time.
I had an offer to go down and watch the game.
Would you have tickets?
A friend asked me if I wanted to go.
I see.
And I didn't go because I'm not vaccinated.
Oh, I see.
You got,
Yeah.
You know what? They
So-
had this thing where it was.
and I was happy not
Clear
to go as
out?
well.
Yeah, that was weird. It was they had. I guess there was one person in the household was vaccinated, and then I think the spouse was not. And one of the spouse didn't want to get vaccinated, so she ended up staying home, watching the game from home. And while the other spouse, obviously, he went to the game.
There's probably
You know
a
what I
lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess it comes down to, what people's agenda is, what
Yeah,
their thing is,
exactly.
So kind of weird. But
Yeah,
but
but-
there was a lot of
Eh,
pushback on that.
Well, what I noticed just in general with it, and like I was saying last year, I felt like there was a lot of buzz that was going on with that game. Like it was a lot of kind of people have been kind of buzzing about it today, and that was the first time I really heard them start buzzing about the Raiders. So I thought that was cool. You saw a lot of people posting in social media, talking about it. I like the fact that
city needs it. The city needs
the
it.
town embraced the Raiders. So that's
This
kind of
town-
cool.
This town really needs a winner, and you have to start out as a winner, and that's been proven over the years.
Yeah, with the
And,
Knights especially.
And the Knights, look what they did. That could have been their curse, is to go all the way to the championship on their first year, and now the expectations are through the roof.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say, Mark, with your background coming from baseball, you probably have an opinion about if a baseball team's going to come to town.
Yeah, I do,
You're
actually.
probably
and
better
I don't
than
know if
what-
it's a good one. I
Okay,
mean,
please,
No,
let's
let's
hear
hear
your
it.
diagnosis.
Who's coming?
Will you explain his background as well with baseball? Because I don't think we
Yeah.
mentioned that.
So first off, let's talk about what Mark does. I know we did a little bit. By the way, guys, this is the channel that's the most real and behind the scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs through on-job experience here in Las Vegas. So guys, we're trying to bring that content. It's not just always going to be about financing and real estate. We're trying to encompass other things, maybe, go a different direction, but still kind of lean it back towards financing and real estate. And so Mark is a guy here that he's in a Odyssey is I guess it's a marketing platform, right? That you represent, but you're actually self-employed. Is that right?
I would say self-employed, but I do work kind of for myself. I mean, I work under the umbrella of Odyssey, but I don't have I got a boss, and I get my paychecks from Odyssey, but it's just me and whatever I do. The harder I work, the more I get paid. And but I came here in 1986, and I came to work for the Las Vegas Stars baseball team.
Okay.
They were the AAA team for the San Diego Padres. And then in year 2000, the Stars became the 51s and the Los Angeles Dodgers affiliate.
Okay.
And then recently they became the Aviators. And
That was just rebranding.
yes.
The,
Well,
the
no,
51s
it's
to Aviators was that just a name change?
a name change, but they also changed their affiliation, their major league team as well.
Okay.
Where
Where they get their players from?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a novice in baseball.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know how many. I don't know what they're classified as, but is it amateur teams or is it they're pro teams, but they're just
AAA, yeah.
AAA.
That's all-
because
that's
there's a football team here too, right? I mean, is that not true?
I mean,
You mean
soccer or
No, isn't there like an arena football team that we used to have here, or is it not here
Oh,
anymore?
yeah.
I think we've gone through
That was in New
27.
Orleans, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they had it
Or
over
was
at
that
New
the
Orleans.
strippers?
No, that. I think
Wasn't it lingerie football or something?
Yes,
Wasn't it?
that's been here.
Is that still
Oh yeah, I
Absolutely.
forgot that was a thing.
That was a
Is
thing.
that still going on? I forgot that
I
was
don't
so
think
weird.
No, I don't think so.
That crashed with the crash.
Yeah, I forgot about
They couldn't afford the upgrades.
What is going on?
Yeah, but I think there's been like
we get hit
20
with COVID. Like, no wonder sanitary practices are really high around here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark. So
No, that's fine. I was just going to say there's been like, I think 27 or 28 different professional teams that have come and gone in Vegas, including the ones that are here now. And the Las Vegas Aviators are the ones that have been able to be consistent throughout all these years. I think the Aviators are going on 34, 35 years.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
and a lot of teams have come and gone, but you know, you got the Raiders here. Obviously, you got the Golden Knights, and you've seen what they've done.
I think it's the money too that
Do
it
the
brings.
Aviators-
You know,
do you think, in your opinion, that Aviators make money?
Absolutely,
They must do,
especially with
yeah.
their new stadium. They were the number one team in 2019. They got the best ballpark. The general manager, the president, got the top award of the year, and yeah, they made a lot of money their first year, and a lot of people they love it. I mean, sitting out there in Summerlin, even on a very hot day, it's comfortable.
And they got
It
that
really
pool
is.
back there.
Yeah.
So you started in '86, you said, and then so you're is right that your main goals are kind of like to promote the team, to get people to buy tickets, to buy merchandise. Is that kind of like the
Yeah,
goal as far as what you're doing?
Yeah, I came here in '86. I went down to the baseball winter meetings in '85, and there was only two people that got a AAA job that year. It was Colin Coward. You guys have probably heard of Colin.
Yep.
And myself. So we moved in together in 1986.
oh, you guys live together.
Yeah.
Oh, so you know that guy
From the
Very well.
herd.
From the herd, huh?
Yeah, the herd.
Okay.
Put in a good word. I love to go on a show. I think I got a lot of insight I can put in with him.
Do you guys still have a relationship?
Yeah,
he's-
actually, I just talked to him
Did
the
you?
other day, and he gave me $3,500 for the 5K run that I'm doing this weekend for Candlelighters.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was
That's
really-
awesome, man.
He gives me a little bit of money every year, but this year he saw my goal was 3,500, so he gave me 3,500.
Gotcha.
In the
Yes.
sports world, he's pretty big, right? I mean, he's
huge.
He's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. I mean, he said he started here, right? That guy.
Yeah, him and I both started in 1986, and I used to live with him. And listen to this: he used to sit there, turn down the volume of any sports, and then narrate it himself, do the commentating. And I'm like, shut up, I want to listen to the TV. And he was kind of just crazy.
Oh, when you guys were living together?
Living in our apartment, yeah.
That's
And,
oh,
but
sorry.
he's really become just one of the top sports broadcasters. Or
Yeah, probably
news talk.
probably the top.
Yeah.
And he's always referencing how he lit his Vegas days, and I just didn't put two and two
Always.
together.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
then, so you kind of took the marketing route, and you took the
Yeah, so
talk
they
a
gave us,
lot.
Yeah, they gave us the phone. He was always into the broadcasting, and I was more into the sales and marketing. And he left the team after a few years and went on to his broadcasting career, moved around, and I just started doing the marketing for the team and got really engraved into the Vegas market.
Do
Yeah.
you guys see talent like that? Like this, not you guys, but like people that are looking for and seeking talent that can, obviously host a show or on radio. Like, how does that work? Like, you guys bounce around, or at least he did, and I'm sure there's others that do that. How do they get recognized?
Yeah, well, I think it's like they get an agent, and then they he Colin Coward was with the Las Vegas Stars, and then he went over to Channel 3 and became the night sports broadcaster, and then his agent or somebody got him a job in I think it was Florida,
Okay.
and then he ended up in Seattle, where that's his home up there, and then he's down in L.A. and he was with ESPN. I think he's with Fox now, and doing super well.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I used to listen to him religiously. I haven't listened to him too, but I used to listen to him every single day. It's just because.
Do you reckon there's always been talk for a while of like a major baseball team coming in? Do you reckon that's going to happen?
Yeah, I had dinner with somebody over at the Aviators, and I was asking that same question. I said, there's a lot of rumors going on, and this is just a few months ago. And I said, what about the A's coming here? And he says, they're coming.
Yeah,
For sure, huh?
What about? I've heard a lot of speak over the years of blowing up the Rio and having a baseball.
I've heard that too.
Do you think that's? I mean, I went to the Rio the other week. It's kind of blown out. Like, I mean, it was dead, but Rio's had its day. But do you think
right there on the strip?
Do you think it'd be better use of that land to have a baseball?
Well, I think
another stadium.
I think if the A's do come, they are going to renovate that area wherever they're at. They've talked about going downtown to the Cashman Field, gutting it out.
What's going on with the Cashman Field now?
Well, nothing.
Nothing, right?
I think the lights play there, the
but it
soccer
moved,
team.
Everything. Aviators moved. They made that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't. The soccer team.
The lights.
Lights. I know they're down there.
Yeah, they play there. But like if the A's were to move here, I think they would renovate that whole area. It'd be very urban. because I think the average age in Major League Baseball now for a fan is like 60 years old.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's not progressing, in my opinion. They're not catering to the younger generations
That's
as
exactly
much.
right.
So how do you handle that with the? I was born in Nevada, but I'm from the north. So they had their aces came in, I think that was 2010, 2009, something like that. And they made a great stadium, but I think they struggled with marketing to that kind of younger crowd and the crowd in general. So you have any ideas? I mean, is that because what you're doing for Odyssey, right? It's promoting the Aviators. So
Well, we do. That's just one of our many clients there. But yeah, it's just different tactics that you need to go after. The younger generation, the millennials, and everybody, they're tough. They're tough to get a hold of.
They're
and
too busy
utilize.
scrolling.
What's that?
Scroll.
They're scrolling too fast.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right?
they're always moving. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think is it the pace though? Maybe say like these games like baseball, is the pace just not there? You know, can that be one of the things where you just the attention span is just it's gone,
Well, they're
right?
doing everything possible to try and speed up the game. So yeah, you're right. They even have a little clock there between pitches. I think it's 15 seconds
Yeah.
between pitches.
they got rid of it in the major leagues. I think they had it.
They have it in the minor leagues.
Yeah, they had the
still.
minor, and they got rid of the multiple trips to the mound.
But then they get rid of those. They put the clock in there, and then they go out and they argue. And so it, it's still the game is still long.
Yeah.
And baseball is a slow sport.
So do you
there's
think
no
it's
doubt.
a good thing for Vegas that we're getting the A's? Do you think it'll be embraced, or do you think it's going to be different between the NFL and
I think
NHL?
I think it's going to be different. I think I've always said there'll be hockey be successful here. I think football would be successful, and obviously right now, so far by the attendance and how many tickets the Raiders have sold, and I think basketball would be very attractive here. But baseball, I just don't know. I think when New York comes to town, I think when LA comes to town or something like that, the place is going to be packed. But when the Marlins come in and Milwaukee comes in there, I think it's going to be a different story.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a stadium that's 40,000 seats.
Where are they looking to build it? That stadium?
That's weird.
They have 22 different locations supposedly that the hierarchy of the A's are looking at. And Cashman Field is one of them. They want to gut it out, renovate it, and just not only that, but put shops around like they did in Cleveland.
That whole area. I mean, it's pretty run down down there.
Big
Like
time.
it's not good. Like it's that part of the
Just east
Las
of
Vegas-
downtown.
Yeah, it's not good.
And we keep trying to revamp that like downtown area with the strip and trying to connect the two, because you do get a little south there, and it kind of like dissipates into like rundown, then gets back to downtown.
Yeah,
so.
I mean it goes to like Naked City, like from like Sahara, like heading to Fremont is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's nowhere you want to walk around at nighttime by yourself.
Yeah, and going back to the will this town embrace it? I think MLB's got a problem in general. I mean, I'm a huge Giants fan, right? And
So
when they
am I.
okay, so you probably have insight on this. When they were making the runs with in those 3 titles they had in the early part of the decade, man, that town really, really embraced the Giants, and there's a huge buzz, and they did great with their stadium and everything. This year, I mean, this is the best record we've ever had.
Incredible.
And did you watch the game last night?
No. I watched the football game.
I was flipping back and forth, and they clinched the wild card. Not
Right.
big of a deal, but I'm like, man, that stadium's just not. There's not a lot there, and this is like a big. I don't know if that's COVID related, but Giants have been very successful in getting support from the community. So I'm like, that's kind of. Is that an MLB, or is that just because we, just got out of a pandemic and this is the Bay Area?
I think it's definitely the Giants thing coming out of a pandemic because people are just itching to get out and go to any event.
Yeah.
And now that, look at last night or any of these Major League Baseball games, they're all just packing them in.
Yeah.
They really are. And they're doing well. But, I'm a Giant fan, and the Dodgers are playing really well. But on the other hand, they can't catch the Giants. So, yeah.
2.5 games up, so 13 to go. Tick-tock. Go ahead, Matt.
I didn't really follow baseball, but I do recall there was like some steroid scandal at some point.
Oh, there's always a steroid
So,
scandal.
do you think
Steroid
it would
era.
help if they made a super steroid league?
Yeah, right.
Like just go off.
Yeah,
Take the gloves off. Let's see what science can do.
Well, since you just brought up that topic, look, we had the steroid scandal in the thousands in both MLB, NFL, and then of course the Lance Armstrong thing. And now I don't hear
It's quiet.
anything,
Quiet.
and I'm like, I don't think they just stopped.
They got
I
smarter.
don't think they just like.
I think they. Yeah, there's some probably still doing it, but the testing has got really rigorous, and the penalties are really steep. I mean, the first time was, 80 games or something, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
But you have a game a day. That you can really get your pump on in 80 days.
You're pushing for that steroid, dude, aren't you?
I'm just having a
Running at Altitude's got a question here, or he's got a suggestion. He said that the stadium should be closer to near the Strip, not downtown. What do you think about that? The stadium,
the A's?
Yeah, for the A's if they do come. Like, what's that percentage? Do you think they're really going to come here?
Personally, I think it's 95% they're coming here because it's because this is the one city they are looking at, and then in Oakland they've already done all the voting, and that's not sufficient enough for the A's, and they've already said, we're coming here, and they've been here, 10 times in the last month just looking at locations.
Yeah.
What do you think's making Vegas so attractive to these teams? Because once they figured out, like, hey, I want to get out of Oakland or whatever. Why is Vegas
I think it's
the
all the
destination?
tourists. Well, they could mop up tourists. Do you think?
I think the tourists have something to do with it, but I think people are seeing the success that the Knights are having.
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. And then now the Raiders, and now, this team is, I just don't think our city's big enough for all these major league teams.
And I don't think, the Raiders are, they're football, they're NFL, so NFL has, the golden ticket as far as it's the most attractive sport in the country. What the Knights did, I don't think anybody can duplicate, though. Because what the Knights did was, I don't know if you've been to a Coyote game, right? I had gone to a couple before the Knights come, and I'll tell you it was boring. It was just, no one cared, no one was into it. So when they introduced the Knights here, I'm like, it's another desert town, pretty kind of close to each other, and then the marketing was tremendous. The entwining with the community was tremendous. The way they kind of led it, and I think they've got probably one of the best followings in the NHL, which is an extraordinary accomplishment for any expansion team, much less a team that didn't even know a place that didn't even know what hockey was.
Well, even the visiting players say this is the best place to come and play. I mean, if
it's because they can go party afterwards,
well, that's
right?
True.
Sounds like, what I mean? They got clubs and stuff they can, venture into after that.
And a part of it, too, is the Raiders, I'm sure it's true with NHL, too. A bunch of fans are in L.A., and they're getting a bunch of demand just coming in from L.A. that's supporting, because they were in L.A. for so long. They never abandoned them. And that kind of tied in with the Raiders. So, but with the A's, are people going to come from Oakland to watch the A's? And it's baseball, it's different. But one thing I always think of, if you put a dome in, right, and it's the hot summer, and it's playing through the summer, that's the baseball season. I'd love to have season tickets and escape the heat and go watch some ball.
I'm a baseball guy, so I think that would be a fun. I'll definitely go see a lot of games. I think it's fun that the city's starting to get recognized for all these professional sports, and but we'll see what happens. I really think that they're coming, and back to the question, I think it would be good to have it on the Strip, but I prefer to see it off the Strip, more centralized out by the Central Christian Church out in Henderson.
Well, they have a lot of games, so you would think about the traffic would even be worse. I think it's going to be something they have to look at with the Raiders.
That's different.
If you got how many games there is? It's like
181 home games.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you got to really try to prepare for that, right?
Yeah, so that's why I think they need a lot more room. And I didn't think where they were putting the Allegiant Stadium was the best place.
No, it sucks.
Parking
my
wise,
opinion.
it's going to be terrible, but the stadium is
there's
beautiful.
no flow.
Yeah.
And I think that was a mistake, because Raiders have historically one of the better tailgate crowds.
Yeah, that's
and you
gone.
kind of took it away when they did that.
Did they do that on purpose though? You know what I mean? Because they know.
They did it.
Well, you got to look at like some of the. And I'll let you answer that, but I think a lot of the riffraff that comes over. I think could that be a consideration of why they do these things that they're doing?
Well, I think their ambition was to filter bodies through casinos for parking and gambling.
100%.
And I've been to the stadium twice for 2 concerts, and getting out of there is a nightmare with Uber if you don't have a ride sorted.
Yeah,
parking's a pain in the ass, and you're in Vegas. It's like 105, 110 degrees at like 5 or 6 in the evening in the summer,
right? And
it's still 100 at nighttime. And when you get out of there, everything seems a long way away, and it's like a war zone to get to your ride.
Yeah, and it kind of funny story about the tailgating, because you might be right, Dan, because I went to years ago a Monday Night Football game in Oakland, and they were hosting the Denver Broncos, which they don't like. And walking into this place. It was like almost felt like a prison. Walking into this place, and there was tailgating going on, and these people had this van open, like barbecuing and getting pretty rowdy. Go in the game, like just glad I didn't die. Leaving the game, and you look at where that same van was completely black. It had burnt. They had thrown the barbecue in there, and the whole thing like exploded. So I think, I don't think we want vans blowing up in
but also,
on the strip there.
around the Allegiant, it's a lot of commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real space to tailgate, and I think they said they were going to do like tailgating at the New Orleans or something like that, and
not
bus
the same.
people in. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I've only tailgated once. It was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
So how long have you been in the line of work? You said, Mark.
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And then besides Colin Cowherd, is there anybody else that you've worked with that, you know, in the city that maybe has become a bigger, you know, onto a bigger name or a bigger venture that, you know, you might have come across?
Well, maybe not got a bigger name, but when my son was going from 8th grade up into Gorman High School to play baseball, I was coaching his team, and my assistant coach was Greg Maddox.
Oh.
So, hey, Greg, can you go get that bucket of balls for me?
Wow.
But that's on the sports end, but not on the professional end.
But you kind of have, like, as far as the marketing part of it, you kind of delve into a lot of different areas, right? In the city.
It's because back in the baseball days, it was more sponsorship sales and marketing.
Right.
But now I'm 100% marketing, so I go into small businesses and large corporations on even on a national basis. And maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, everything was radio, but the digital has just taken over. And that now everybody needs to be on digital if you want to be a player in any business, and it's an OTT. And
because I can get. With so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but with cell phones the way they are, I mean, you've gotten to the point where now I can get a podcast at any point, wherever I'm driving, so I don't need to deal with impatience as far as trying to find the right show on. Even Sirius, I can't believe Sirius is still in. But let me ask you a question. So 86, what was the population of Vegas then? I think it was below 1 million, right? Like 800?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so what's been kind of the biggest change as far as we're talking about real estate, and I think this has a lot to do with real estate. You're talking a big change with just professional sports in general. Right. Just kind of you've noticed in the last 20 years in this market, as far as those things are concerned.
When I moved here, there really wasn't much on the Strip. I mean, they had the Flamingo and they had some, but when the Mirage and the Treasure Island went up, that's when the big boom. I think it was back in '88. Mm-hmm. Now everything just started sprouting up, and it's and they start getting really aggressive against each other, and just watching the Strip grow. And then obviously when the Strip grows, more people are going to come into town, and now the side roads have become now major freeways, and that's what I think the 215. I mean, back in the day, that was nothing but just desert.
Dirt, yeah.
And now it's
land all around it.
And now we're running out of room there. Yeah. We need another one. But I think Vegas in general, it's got over 2 million people now, and and we're not slowing down. And I think I think the casino business, we're trying to get more diversified, so we don't have to lean on the casino industry as much. But I think.
Do you miss the old days, or you like
absolutely
new
100%?
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot from old.
What's the biggest difference? Why do you miss it so much?
Because everybody says this is a kind of a small city within it. But getting to know the casino owners and the people who really move the city, and having them come down to the ballpark and treating them, and then they come back and they treat you. If I have friends coming in town, or if it's a client, you make a call, you go see a show, on them, and it's just that kind of closeness that we had. But now everything is so corporate.
Yeah.
And I've lost all my fringe benefits and stuff like that, and.
Juice runs out on the Strip if you're not circulating. Like when I was younger, I could get tickets here, get tickets there, but it has become more corporate. Things change, and you've got to be circulating down there. And I guess maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just not in the loop anymore, or it's changed.
Well, I don't know about not being in the loop. It's tough to stay in that loop. I mean, it's so big right now, and the corporations are just. They are very tight. So, I mean, I'm not even in the loop, and I feel like I've been here for 35 years.
And Cowherd, I've heard him say it all the time. I think he even had an advertisement that maybe you did for him, which was talking about Vegas and like how the town worked or works. I mean, which is like 10 years ago. But, it was you paid in tickets. You gave show tickets, you did this, you did events, and that's like everybody kind of knew each other. And now I came down there in 17 from the north, and it's hard to break into that inner circle because you don't know who's in it, right? As far as.
Well, I was in some breakfast clubs and some Rotary clubs, and I got to know a lot of really good real estate people and the financial people, and and they became sponsors at the Las Vegas Stars baseball team. I got to know them really well, So I was in a breakfast club called the Las Vegas Executive Association, and we had 5 or 6 realtors in there, and it was just great to hear their perspective on how the city is going to grow, how it is growing,
Right.
And a lot of those guys were on target, which is just really cool to see. They said that, Henderson's going to be the fastest growing market in 20 years. And, who would have ever thought that? I wish I would have bought some land.
Yeah. Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, right?
No, it's because up in Reno, which is different it's a gambling town, but it's different in the fact that it's also part Tahoe, which is a different type of crowd. But the way that community is run, right, and the communities around it's kind of the good old boys thing, like, if you wanted to be a judge or whatever, people knew who you were, and that's how you kind of got into it. And I noticed down here, it's not like that at all. At least in my experience, it's more like it's a free-for-all, right? People coming from all over the place. You get random people that come in here and get elected mayor or whatever, and that's kind of interesting. Do you think with these because I think Vegas also has transformed, but it's also kind of getting its own identity as far as, with these sports teams, with like, we have an identity outside of gambling. You think we can get back to that, or you think it's lost forever?
No, I think it's lost forever. I think the city is trying to get more diversified, especially when the professional teams are coming in. I think we're going to see more growth on that end, and they're coming in and they're absorbing a lot of the sponsorship dollars. I mean, this city is going to be taxed big time. I mean, it already is pretty much with the Raiders and the Knights. Mm-hmm. Now when the A's come here, I mean, these teams are coming in. They're going to take a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to move here because of those teams, which is going to help the real estate market.
Would you say the fans are because they're loyal fans, or because they're going to come work with the team?
Definitely loyal fans.
Loyal fans, really?
And our stake, and our.
It's crazy, man, how fanatical people can be about a team. It really is. And that's, I mean, they'll travel with them like, the traveling circus, they're going to go with them. So I get it.
I mean, I think I never do that, but then the 49ers, they did something like, it's like, I do have this loyalty to that, and it's nonsensical, but it's true.
But you got these people that want to get out of their states and they want to come here, and because we don't have all the bad weather that we're hearing, the weather or the tornadoes and the hurricanes and the fires and floods. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
I think people are tired of that, and they want to come to Vegas. And yes, we do have 3 tough, hot months. There's no doubt. But I think everywhere's got 3 tough months. If you're in the
which never bothered me before until this year, because I had my first child, and I'm like, oh man, this is like, you can't just go somewhere and get out of it. So, sorry, I got off topic there. But
no, but I was going to say about that is, do you think that because we're expanding and growing so fast that we're going to keep up with the demand that it's going to be needed for the construction, right, and the space, and we see a lot of traffic? I feel that the crime has gone up a little bit here, maybe just because of COVID. I don't know what it is, but what do you think about that?
Well, I think when you're asking me that question, I'm thinking it's all about water.
Yeah.
Really? You think that's a big part of it, huh?
I think the water is it's going to slow things down at some point. It's got to, because we're running out of water at Lake Mead. I was at Lake Powell a couple of weeks ago, and I was just shaking my head seeing that bathroom ring there as well. And, and they say it's going to take 10 to 12, 15 years of just big time winters to get our lake back up.
Wow.
Well, we had
the dude in here, the water dude.
Water guy.
Yeah,
the
water
water
guy
district.
came in.
Let's not talk about his name, just in case.
Well, go ahead.
Because
you don't want to put his name out. I was about
no. But like he told a good story and it sounded good, but then I'm a doubting Thomas, and I was like, what the factual information he gave was robust and it sounded good, but if there was a problem with the water, I don't think they would talk about it.
Let me say this. So I think it was Sunday. I got a call on my phone. I thought it was another telemarketer, and it was from the water district saying, "Hey, you need to make sure that you only water 3 days, and you need to cut back on it." And it was actually a phone call recording from the water district. I guess letting everybody know you need to pick the times. Yeah, and maybe you need to really time it out of how many days you're going to be watering your grass or watering your lawn. So
Yeah, and on that subject, I mean, as far as trying to keep resources, as far as that side of it, I've done some water law work, some cases with that. And the thing about water law, which is like kind of like property rights, the term water law does not exist east of the Continental Divide because nobody's fighting over water. Here, I mean, it's not just Vegas. I mean, it's Northern Nevada. There was some huge cases between like farming, Arizona, all of California. And at some point, like, they got to really address this because I don't see the federal government ever kind of addressing this. And it's probably one of the biggest parts of the economy in the entire country. And it's just not talked about. We used to have a time in this country we ran into a problem. We say, build a dam. It's impossible. No, we're going to build it. And then that's almost 100 years ago. We're 80 years out and we haven't done anything since then.
Mark, what do you think? I mean, because you've been here longer than all of us. I mean, have you had these issues come up before and then Vegas had to deal with it?
Not really. I mean, it's really become right in front and center just in the last couple, 2 or 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it's, when we're getting low on, and I know in the real estate market, and you guys know this more than I do, is all the new houses now are going to be mandated to have desert landscaping, no more grass, because they're already trying to look into the future. But I haven't personally had any problems with the water, but I just know it's going to be an issue. And if we can't, we're in the desert, we need water.
And the way it works in Nevada, at least, is they try to put priority in residential, right? Because those are people that live or whatever. Where you see the fights, like there's not much agriculture down in the south, but there is a lot more in the north. And then you see water getting tough to farmers, which kills their production, and they have huge lawsuits that come in. Now, I'll notice that there was a big drought in 14-15, before a huge year in 16-17. That was record year in Tahoe. And during those 3 years prior, there was all this discussions about how we're going to handle this long term. We need to start putting in like better mechanisms as far as priority and these types of things, and put in. I think California was doing things like they put black balls in reservoirs to keep. And then you have this winter, and things get filled up, and all that talk stops
because there's no money in it.
And then no progress happens, and then you get back into a drought 5 years later, and I'm like, well, like this is just going to keep recycling. So maybe it's good we do have a feature of fire. Maybe that's what's going to cause a little. I don't know.
I mean, what are they really doing about it that we can see at our fingertips? Right? We don't know what's really happening behind the scenes. I know we had the guy come in and he said everything's great, but is it really great? I don't know. We don't have the data or the facts. I mean, he's representing.
He's a PR guy.
He is,
but he seemed like a good dude.
No, he's a good dude. I think it's just everybody's going to dissect it. You're right.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to dissect it and kind of come out with their own analogy of what they think is really happening here. And you're saying that that's a big problem based upon experience, not just from what you see. It's what you're noticing based upon your past experience, right?
Yeah, that's all. And I'm sure the gentleman that was in here talking and everything I've heard through the water district, they are doing some incredible things that we'll never even know. What they're doing underneath the dam.
Incredible.
Supposedly we have 20, 25 years worth of water left, and you hear all that kind of stuff, but they're trying to think forward and conserve water as much as possible. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just speculating. Like,
yeah, we all are kind of.
As far as that goes, but they do hit us with, restrictions, and they do hit us with like strong PR campaigns about not using it. So and then they don't promote what they're doing, so it's kind of hard to decipher information. But yeah. So, and then focusing kind of back on the real estate, because that's kind of what we're
sure.
You lived through 08, right? And I know this town and I think Reno were the two biggest hit areas in the country. How did that affect you? How did it affect business? How'd you handle that?
It was very difficult. It kind of reminded me of the whole COVID year. I mean, it was very difficult because people were losing their homes, and next thing you know, people wanted to sell their homes because the prices were so high back then. But the problem is, you sell high, you got to go buy somewhere high, and you guys know that.
Yeah.
And that was a big problem. But a lot of my friends lost their homes, just because they couldn't afford them, or they had to go bankrupt or stuff like that. I mean, 08 was a tough year.
How did that affect your marketing business as far as?
It was a strain. Anytime you get a problem like that, or COVID, or a real estate market that drops off, people are going to really watch their money, and the first thing they will drop is their marketing, and that's tough on us. But the people who maintain their marketing, even at a smaller level, they're the ones that are going to come out of it stronger. And they really are, But there's been some pretty big hits in '08, and then last year was obviously a tough one. And
do you think there's a difference now in terms of not necessarily real estate crash, but in terms of the Vegas economy, because it really was kind of casino and entertainment, and that's it. Do you think like these sports teams and like the business promotion like Amazon out there would be enough to kind of save that, if that makes sense?
I don't know. I really don't. I think when the professional teams are here, that's a whole different segment. I think the places that are going to be hurt the worst are the small businesses.
Right.
They're the ones that they can't maintain it like the casinos.
Right.
But so I think it's going to be tough, and I know we're coming out of this, but there's been a lot of hurt.
Right. But we're talking like stability, right? Because I think why Vegas got hit so hard was, you have a worldwide recession, because that's what happens with the United States is a recession. And the first thing that's going to go off your spending power is like, well, I'm not going to fly out west to Las Vegas and gamble a whole bunch of money and go to shows that give me nothing when I'm worried about my next paycheck, right? And in turn, Vegas gets crushed, all the small businesses, because there's no passing of money going on. Right. So I'm just curious, is there enough diversification that's happened since then? Because one way or another, you're going to hit recessions, and I'm just curious, people who want to move here, want to buy houses, because we're buying high right now. Is there a difference, than it was 10 years ago?
Well, I think so. I think we're a lot more diversified than we were back then. Back 10 years ago, it was all casinos. Now, but you bring up the Amazon and some of the Teslas and these big corporations that are coming here, because not only because it's Las Vegas, but it's no state taxes and things of that nature. But I think that's helped a lot. But when we lose our tours one way or the other, it doesn't matter how we lose them, it's going to hurt the entire economy.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It really is.
Well, you look at the demographics right here, and you look at what happened last year, and I think the housing market somewhat brought us out of this problem that we had last year here locally in Las Vegas, because like you said, people are remote, they're working remote, they're traveling now, they can go in other states and buy a home, a primary residence. And we saw that big time here, where people were buying homes here to live in, and it pushed this market because it was coming from out of state. So in a normal market, you would think like, hey, the COVID or something like that big, people would be like, I'm going to stop spending. Just like you said, they stopped marketing, right? They pulled back, they retracted. But now it just seems like it's manageable, and it's kind of part of their everyday situation where they're going out, they're still spending money. It's not stopped us from having people come here and buy homes whatsoever.
I think a lot of that too is a lot of people. I was talking to my sister up in Lake Tahoe, and she says the reason they're just going crazy up there, their real estate market, is because people want to go work where they want a vacation. And now that you can do that remotely, like you're saying,
right.
now they want a vacation in Vegas. Why not move to Vegas and I can still work remotely? I've worked remotely for the last year and a half, and I bought a travel trailer, and I travel a week every month working on the road.
Yeah.
So, but it's but I understand.
If you have AC, what type of travel trailer do you have?
Oh yeah, it's the Gnome. It's a 30-foot. It's got
cool.
definitely has
Yeah,
AC, and I have to have Wi-Fi so I can work.
Right.
How do you put Wi-Fi? I didn't even think about that. Will you plug into something, or
satellite?
The RV parks have it. You
I got you.
Log into theirs, but I think you're right. The
National
people are
parks
coming
have
here
it as well.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
national park campsites.
Would you ever think that Vegas is going to push you out, where it's so many people coming here and it's so much traffic and there's so much congestion that at some point it's going to push you out and you're not going to want to live here?
Personally, me, yes, absolutely. But what's keeping me here now is I got 2 granddaughters, so I don't know if I want to leave now, But on the other hand, I'm tired of it. The heat has got to me this year as well. And
maybe it was just a bad summer. I don't know.
I think it's just so hot here in September. Normally, we're not getting that reprieve that we normally get, But I'm starting to think about different places. I want to retire, and where am I going to retire at? And I want to retire somewhere besides Vegas.
I've sold a few homes this past couple of years, and they've moved to Utah, Cedar City. They cashed out. Mostly like people retiring that are transitioning to like good fixed income.
Yeah.
They're piecing out and going up to Cedar City.
So you got the
St.
people from
George.
LA cashing out and coming to Vegas, and the
Yeah.
people from Vegas
Yeah,
cashing out and going to Utah.
Listen, it's a cycle, right? It's a trickle down effect where somebody's moving from one area to another because now you don't have to be in a specific location to work, right? People are figuring out how alternate ways of getting into a home. Also, they want to go to places where maybe the weather's better, right? I mean, they're probably moving from here to go to Utah because the weather's probably a lot better, right?
Well, and then
And it's cheaper.
Yeah.
More affordable.
interesting points on that. So, like because talk about like working remote and how actually so many things are remote. I'm an attorney, right? And I realized, I mean, just 3 years ago, you'd have to drive to every court hearing. You'd have to drive to a deposition. You'd have to drive to the other person's office. Now I literally do none of that. The court hearings online. The depositions are online. Whatever you're doing is online. I can get notary done online. And then at one point, my in-laws have this vacation house in Hawaii, and we were there, and I realized I was there for 3.5 weeks, just working all the time, and like I didn't know.
No one noticed.
People were calling me, right? For just like, hey, we work here. I'm like, this is very kind of odd because I'm servicing this area and I'm 2,000 miles away. So how that all plays out, because then you talk about sports teams or whatnot. Well, you have to be able to see a sports team. You want to go to tickets. Traffic that you keep talking about. I mean, I think Mark. Traffic here really isn't bad. And they've got one of the best freeway systems designed, and they designed it 10 years out. They just because they saw what happened to LA, which was in the 50s, and they just kept adding, right? So, is that a long-term problem? I mean, I don't know. Do we have it covered?
I heard that Henderson's taken some flack because like North Las Vegas is building out like properly, and like the public transport, like downtown is amazing for like like since I've been here since 2003. They've built it out properly, and you go up north and you can see they're doing all like the freeway. I don't know what it would be like when I first moved here. I didn't have a car, and it was pretty hard not to have a car. I never used public transport, but it's a car city.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true.
So I can't imagine what it'd be like to be relying on public transport. I could imagine it's not much fun, but it's
like you said, it is a car city.
It's a car city, dude. You don't walk all right.
Even on the strip, you can't even. I mean, walking one casino down, it's not even like it's not like an easy trot down the road. But kind of sorry, I keep wanting to pick your brain as far as because it's very interesting. Marketing here, you've kind of seen the transitions. What's your piece of advice to the entrepreneurs out there, small business owners like myself, as far as the keys to this community, as far as what effective marketing is?
Well, I think the first thing to do is you just gotta, when you're first starting out, you really need to have that good location, and then you also need to have, some money saved. This is the biggest problem I come into with any business I come up to, especially if it's brand new, is they do everything possible to get that door open, but they don't leave any money for marketing. And the first year of business, as we all know, is probably the most important. So that's the one thing if you're a smaller business, but there's so many different ways. It's so hard to market now, as far as if you're the advertiser, because 5 years ago it was just TV and radio, whatever. But now there's so many different choices, and it really depends on that individual business. What is the best tactic to reach your consumer? I mean, right now we can do digital. I mean, I know more about you than you think I do because of your ID on your phone.
Yeah, I know.
And it's when we're tracking people and we're sending out digital messages, like for an email campaign to all the realtors, we're focusing on maybe our 50,000 emails to people who are in the market to buy a home, and they have a household income of $100,000, and they're looking for a 2,000 square foot home or something, and we can reach those people. I mean, it's incredible what you can do. So just really watching your marketing and having somebody on top that knows what they're doing, and then
is radio a dying breed right now? Would you say?
Not at all. I think it's picking up. To be honest with you, I thought we were going to get hurt big time, like when Howard Stern left radio and he went to satellite radio, and it's still 96% of the people get all their local music and from radio. And,
really?
Yeah, absolutely. And
So they just turn. I mean, obviously you're driving, you turn the radio on and everything. You know, you're doing your thing. But you would think that when, like, with everybody's attention span lowering, you can go and watch stuff like these podcasts and stuff at your own leisure. I don't know. To me, I felt like radio was really starting to go down because I was on radio for a while, you know, and I did look at the numbers, and we had a per cum. It was decent, you know, for the day that we did it. And I don't know. To me, it just felt like it was just starting to dwindle. So I'm curious to see that.
No, it's definitely. I wouldn't say it's on the rise like digital is,
Right.
But it's flattened out some.
Right.
But people are still going there, especially in the local markets, to find out what's happening in their own markets. You know, but people are they're still listening to music and they're listening to their content, but they're listening to it differently. You know, they're listening to it on their smart speakers, on podcast, you know, and through other digital means through their streaming. You know, so people are still out there listening, but they just listen to the content differently than they did 5 years ago.
So,
You know,
one of your challenges then, how do you break out from the I guess the national ability to listen to any specific content from anywhere, right? To, hey, turn on our radio station here. Is there a method you try to tackle that with, or?
Well, it's just through marketing, and we have to make sure our talent is resonating with their particular. I mean, like 98.5, we really want to go after the younger audience. We want Mercedes in the morning at 94.1. She's going to go after those women that are listening to her from 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning that are 25 to 45 years old. You know, so
They watch those soap operas and they're hanging out at home doing laundry and stuff. Is that what?
that's a perfect example, seriously.
Right?
But yeah, so I think it's just each station markets themselves differently, and it's but it's obviously a challenge. But we're reaching over 1 million people every week.
And it's working well.
Yeah.
Because I guess kind of the point of the question is, you know, if Mercedes in the morning, right, and she's local, right, and then there's similar people out there, but they're trying to reach the entire United States. What difference, right? How do you say, no, this is better quality content? Because even though you have a smaller market you're going after, how do you grab that market? Is it just local stories? Do people get attracted to that?
No, we have some, Odyssey's got some national syndicated shows, you know, and they try to, we just had a meeting this morning about it. Each one of these national syndicated shows, they've been tasked with trying to make it more localized, even though they are on a national scale, you know, and so we'll see how that works. But people, you know, since Vegas, especially like in Vegas, there's so many transit people that come here, you know, and I might want to listen to something from San Francisco, you know, and you might want to listen to something from Baltimore or whatever, you know, so people have their key people they want to listen to. It could be their local radio station or there could be their national syndicated show.
Right.
You know, so it's a task, but we're trying to localize those national talents so we get the local people to listen to them.
Right.
You know, so it's
Well, like I think Cowherd's a perfect example. I'll listen to him when I want to know like the overall scope of sports, right? But Giants fan, I download 680, you know, KMBR. That's local sports there to get my specifics on Giants. So. I guess that makes sense, you know, and then things with the Raiders, probably like, hey, stop being a Giants fan, be a Raiders fan, you know, you live here now.
Yeah, so many people right now are doing exactly what you're doing. They just tune into their favorite station. They want to get their favorite music or content, news, sports, you know, and it's not necessarily all Vegas talent. It's not our radio stations that I sell for.
Right.
You know, but yeah, but back to your question, I wouldn't say it's dying. It has flattened out a little bit,
Okay.
but there's so many different ways that we can consume our content. And that's why Odyssey is a full media company. Not only are we relying on radio, but we've got digital products. We sell streaming TV. A podcast is probably the fastest growing segment in our media company nationwide. You know, because everybody's just diving into podcasts. You know, you can listen to anything you want that you're interested in.
Here's the reason why I did it. So I'm sitting here clipping off a pretty big, you know, chunk of change every month to go on a radio station, right? There's certain things that you have to do. There's just like here, you got to do certain things. You got to follow regulations.
How much?
We don't want to get into that, but it wasn't crazy, but it was enough to say, hey,
Yeah.
I need to make a difference, right? So it was a couple grand.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't
so
nothing
from that
crazy.
Perspective, something you mentioned earlier about things changing after the crash is I used to have a window covering business, and then in 2004, we would pay $4,500 a month for a half page in the Yellow Book.
Yeah, it's just the marketing's changing all the time.
It's changing so much.
Yeah, and it's like when I was looking at it, I was like, well, why should I not do a podcast when you got to put a bunch of money up front, but you got your own creativity. You can kind of present the element, and then you do what you want with it, right? And you're taking the control, and I think that's why podcasts are coming and becoming so big, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about you're seeing in the housing market. We're talking. This is a housing show, but we wanted to give you people some insight about what you do and kind of where you came from. So with this housing market, you're seeing such a hot frenzy market. Have you ever seen a market like this going back to last year since you've been in Las Vegas?
No, it's and I'd really, because I've been living in the same house for 27 years, but I was looking for my son who plays baseball. He's starting to look for a house, and it was just last summer, and it's like, my God, it's so difficult to find the houses you want because people, you like this one house, and let's say it's $300,000, and you put your money down. Somebody comes in at $320,000, But yeah, it's definitely booming, and I know the real estate market is, from the radio industry, they're coming on with us, and they're doing a lot of digital, and some of them that want to blanket the entire city are doing the radio. But like our email campaigns that going right after the people who are looking for homes, is probably the number one product for our real estate people.
So you'd say it's a bigger frenzy than it was in like the first decade, 2008, that time.
I think so, because I'm more aware of it right now, and business is a lot bigger and it's a lot better, and so I think it's just more noticeable. I think. And it just seems like there just isn't much out there, and you guys know this more than I do, but it just doesn't seem there's a whole lot of inventory out there to buy. Whereas it seemed like after the banks dropped everything back in 2008, there was more inventory.
Right, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah,
or something.
I do feel like it's starting to slow down though a little bit. What do you think? I mean, it's not such a huge frenzy as it was, and I started feeling this, right? I started feeling it when I was. You look at these offers and you talk to the agents and you talk to the other side, and they're like, you know what? Hey, we're not getting, 10 offers, but we got 2 offers, but your offer wasn't accepted. And you're like, well, why did my offer not get accepted? Because let's say they wanted to pay $7,500 above appraised value if it does come in low. So these are the things that's coming up. Is it good news? Yes, because there's more properties in the market. Is it still a relative hot market or a challenging market in some zip codes and some homes? There is.
I mean, it's pulled back a bit. Like the sellers could pull everyone forward. Like 4 or 5 months ago, like the sellers could dictate, and then the sellers would go high, and then it would go higher.
Yeah.
And from what I'm seeing, like it's calmed down. Instead of 10 offers, couple offers. In the $1 million price point, you're seeing homes sit more, like
they're not just flying off the
shelf.
Yeah, but Matt, when you say pulling back, because all right, let's say you had a house that was appraised at $300,000 last year. Let's say it's appraised now at $450,000, right? So when you say pull back, does that mean it's sitting at $450,000, or you have to like?
What I'm saying is that. The buyers were pushing to get into the homes, and like 5 or 10 people would be pushing into the home, and then that would raise the price by like 10, 15, 20, 30K. And I'm not seeing that push to get into a listing. Like it's not, instead of like 10 offers, there's like, as Dan said, like 2 or 3 or one good one out the gate if it's a really good looking home. It's calmed down like across the valley.
Is Henderson more popular than maybe Summerlin?
How do I answer that question? I mean, it just depends. Like people just tend to gravitate somewhere. Like a lot of people just think Summerlin because they've heard about it and they're like, oh, Summerlin. But a lot of the time when you do apples to oranges to like Henderson to Summerlin, there's better value in Henderson. You're going to pay a high price per square foot in Summerlin. Some people just want to be in Summerlin, So I lived in Henderson since like 2003. So I'm not like, I I sold a lot of homes in Summerlin and Henderson, and it's neither here nor there. It's like personal preference.
Do you deal more with tourists, or are you getting a lot of locals that are just relocating?
Mostly, it varies, but a lot of people relocating from California still.
Yeah.
And like from something we mentioned earlier, a lot of tech people that can work from home now are coming here.
I mean, the demographics to me is they're just coming out of state. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. And I'm not saying that people are not buying here, that we're already living here in Las Vegas, but it's not really about location. I mean, it is a little bit, but I feel like it's just there's such a low inventory that people are just happy to get something or get in. And like you could say, well, when I go to Henderson or when I go to Summerlin or when I go to North Las Vegas, I don't know. It just depends on what's the easiest path for me to get into a house, because I know that I might miss the boat. And I think that's where people are at with this. Now, our properties opening up? Sure. They are opening up. Right. But, you know, it's all about supply and demand and scarcity. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. So, well, Mark, what part of town you at?
Henderson, over by Green Valley
You've
Ranch.
been there the entire...
Yeah, I've been in Green Valley Ranch for, 26, 27 years, yeah.
And... Yeah, you like Henderson a lot. You love Henderson compared to Summerlin, or you just
I've never once again, like back what you were saying, I've just never lived in Summerlin.
Yeah,
obviously I go there and I get lost, you know, because I don't go out there as much. But yeah, I love where I live. It's really close to I'm at Paseo Verde and Valley Verde, and I'm really close to the freeway. You can't hear it, can't hear the freeway, and I got everything right there within 2 miles. You know, from
very convenient.
From a grocery store to a Target to a coffee house to everything I need.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the whole town. What part are you away from a Target? You know what I mean? Like
it's like the American formula. Like it's a block formula, like supermarket, Starbucks, like, you know, your American spot.
I mean, this is definitely the town that represents that American idea. I think more than like any.
Well, but I do think that there's people that have been here for a long period of time, and sometimes they adapt and sometimes they don't. I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but the things that attracted them to come here to Vegas in the beginning is dwindling away. Part of that is that same for you, where there's some things about Vegas, like you said, that, man, it was great when I moved here and I thought it would, you know, be a great place for a good period of time. But now you're starting to see, well, is this really where I want to be? Because this town changes quick, man. I mean, they got construction going on on the strip. Yeah. It's so, like, you see a casino pop up and you're like, when did that happen? You know, and that's how fast it is here.
When I first moved here, I said, I'm going to come here for 2 years. This is for 1986. And I said, but then I bought a boat and I started going out to Lake Mead and I experienced Mount Charleston. I was going up there running and everything. And I said, I kind of like this place. And then things developed at work. And so I said, you know what, I'll stay a couple more years and see. And, you know, here I am. You know, I got to know the movers and the shakers, and I got ingrained into the community. And, you know, now it's been a great place to raise my family.
Yeah, so back then, was it, I'll give you an example. So being from the north, you have up there either like generational Nevadans, right? Or people that like moved at some point or retired, but they all did the same thing because they want to get away from California. Then they get there, and trying to develop in some of these areas is like pulling some serious teeth because they want to prevent all development. And that's a real big Northern Nevada thing. Like, do not turn this into California. Did that exist? Because I don't feel like it is down here at all. That exists all in the 80s in Vegas?
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah.
I just think that they were thinking about expanding, and since the time I moved here, and then the casinos, the Mirage went up, you could just see all the construction just going crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much room here, and people were just starting building, and I mean, master plan communities going everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, from Henderson to Mountain's Edge out to Summerlin, you know, in North Las Vegas, which they've done a great job. You know, so you know, we're lucky we have the land to do that.
Yeah, but that seems to be the Vegas mentality: get big and get rich and do it quick. Yeah. You know, which is different than the other part of the state. Very different.
And if the casino isn't working, blow it up and put a new one in.
Yeah, we used to have all those blow ups in the 90s, right? I haven't seen one gone up in forever.
For a while.
Yeah, they're all new now.
Yeah, gotta be something we can blow up.
Right. No, but you go back. So, you know, you saw this. I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing in the marketing part of it. I do think there's a lot of value, and you're adapting. I think just like in our businesses, we have to adapt, especially for real estate financing. And you adapt to different markets. And the same with you, you're adapting with the different marketing styles. So I think with your situation, tell us the various ways of how you would maybe approach somebody that would look to market with you or your company.
And what kind of business are you thinking?
Just let's say I want to do some marketing, let's say on the radio for commercials, or let's say, do you guys do some type of digital marketing that people are really starting to jump onto right now?
Well, really what I do is as a salesperson for Odyssey, I sit down with the company decision maker, their marketing department, or whoever it is, and I do a needs analysis. I really want to know what do they need, and then I come back and I say, these are the different products that really fit what you need, and these are solutions to helping you guys out, to driving traffic, and we can quantify that through attribution, and so there's so many different ways, and each company that I deal with is completely different. The most important thing in my business is coming to you as the owner of that business and getting all the information I need to come back and give you solutions.
So let me ask you a question then, just like a little hypothetical, but it has to do with me. Okay, so I have my own law firm, and the thing I love doing the most, but it's weird because I have no idea how to market for it. Right, I market for estate planning and business transactions, those types of things, which is a little more straightforward. But what I love to do is complex business litigation cases. They make me think a lot. It's a lot of moving parts. I'm talking about partnership disputes, non-compete contracts, those types of things. But I'm like, how the heck do I market for something like this kind of niche? Now, when I get them, it's just completely random. Like it just kind of falls in my lap, So would radio? I mean, I don't think radio would work. I have no idea.
I guess my first question to you would be: who's your demographic? Who are you trying to go after? Is there an age demographic? Is it 55 to 75-year-olds that have their houses are paid for, that can get into these situations? You're definitely not going after a 20-year-old.
Right. So one, if you're going to get into that type of litigation, you need money, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what it costs. So it's either coming from insurance something or they have money. So I find that the youngest demographic is going to be 30s, and that's kind of not as much. Right. The big demographic is 40s and 50s, sometimes 60s, but then you're kind of getting over at the point where I don't want to go and do this thing. So it's really probably the 40s is the biggest. That's when people really go, I'm sick of working on this thing for 15 years. I want to go do my dream, and I'm running out of time, right? That's the mid of it. So that's probably the demographic, and the ability to finance what they're trying to do.
Well, in a situation like that, I would, with all our digital products, I'm not so sure radio would be the solution for you. Mm-hmm. I think digital products that we can target your consumer, the person that you're going after, the 50-year-old. Maybe it's somebody that has a household income of $150,000, and we could target zip codes. Maybe it's Summerlin you want to go after. Maybe it's Henderson you want to go after. So then we can send out emails, or we can reach them on your phone. You guys get those ads on your phone.
Yeah.
We can send those, and all they have to do is click on it. If it's something that litigation, that's me. And they click on it, and it goes to your webpage. So there's so many different ways that we can track you down because of our database through Odyssey is it's incredible. It really is. And like our email database, we're not just sending out random emails. We're sending them out to the people that, like I said, 50-year-old, whatever, household income of $150,000, and then we guarantee a 10% open rate. So if we send out 50,000, we guarantee that 5,000 are going to open that ad. And after that, there's different tactics as to do they actually make a phone call?
How do you convert? Yeah,
and convert it, and then we can listen to those phone calls and see what kind of questions they're asking you if you ever wanted to go back and visit those. So there's different digital tactics that we can go after, but the number one thing, we have to hit your demographic, who you want to go after. Otherwise, you're wasting your money.
Right, yeah. Right. So you got to figure. And so what you guys have then is you basically have all that. What do you call it? That's social information that you're going to track down trends of.
We have all that research data is it's incredible what we have on a local, regional, and a national level. I mean, if I have a client like you and I send up the flagpole, these are all the characteristics that I want to reach.
Right.
They'll come back with different solutions that trends have showed they've been very successful. The conversion rates are very good.
So is it similar because I'm not making any political statements here, but in 2016, with the Trump administration, later one of the big credits was that they were able to find out who was on the fence, and then find out what the top 2 issues that they cared about, and do direct. This is the issue. This is why you should vote. Right. So is it similar to that? Are you using that targeted with what your data?
Very well. I mean, all the information we have is if you're a Trump supporter and are you're a liberal, conservative, whatever you are, and I don't know if we can go after if you're a opponent of one issue or the other, but yes, so our political last year in 2016 was through the roof. It's because of how competitive it was, and they were just dumping money into in radio and digital and nationwide, not just us, but with everybody else.
So that specific targeting. Sorry, so many questions. So with that, then, because I feel like if you read something from 2020 with like Google ads or that type of thing, social ads, it's probably outdated by now as far as the way all these websites change the way they handle things.
Algorithms and stuff. Yeah.
Well, you're like, what's in the future the next 2 years? Do you have an idea of where the trend's going and do you need to adjust, or is that just too hard of a question?
No, it's not at all, because we're a Google, Odyssey is a Google preferred partner, and that is probably the biggest thing I could say today as far as our company, I should say, Odyssey, is Odyssey, or Google will let us know before the main consumer finds out what the trends are, what the algorithms are, and how to push Google ads. Mm-hmm. And when they're telling you this before anybody else knows, it's a great foot in the door.
Right.
I can go to a big company and say, well, Google preferred partner, and here's what we can do for you that your competitors cannot do. They can do it, but it's going to be 2 months down the road, and by then it's already outdated.
Right. Already outdated. It's how fast technology goes.
So someone like Matt and Dan, you're real estate, right? Mm-hmm. And who's your demographics? And could something like Odyssey really help you as far as how you get business? How do you get people to sign you up as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean, historically, we've just done pay-per-click, and we have our AdWords, and we just fishing for clicks from California, from anywhere across the country.
It just happens in this time right now.
Yeah,
California. I mean, California's always came here, but right. I think it's probably our biggest transitions that we see is from California.
Yeah, like at least half my business.
Yeah.
Well, because they'll sell a house for say $500,000, and then they can buy a similar one for say, let's just throw out a number $250.
Yeah.
And then bank the rest. Mm. I'm sure that's still the same situation.
Yeah, I think the numbers are a bit different now, but yeah, absolutely.
Something like that. Yeah.
So let's kind of head into this part of it now with the housing situation. I always look and say, well, we want to know what people are really going through. We want to know why and how things are running right now in the housing market, and some of the clients you're dealing with, some of the offers that you're going through. Do you have listings that you work with right now?
Yeah, I got a couple listings. One, I don't religiously go after listings. I just mainly do listings from referrals or.
Why is that though? Because I feel like a lot of agents, if they go after listings, they control the situation, right?
Here's the thing: it's probably the same amount of phone work. It's just different. It's just a modality for how you approach your business.
So what are you seeing out there right now, Matt? You're out on hitting the streets. You're in the trenches, going out there, probably talking to a lot of agents on the other side, kind of seeing and monitoring how this whole market's headed and where it's going. You see it slowing down, right?
Yeah, it had a run up for about 6 months where for the past 6 months, you saw incremental price increases and competitiveness to get offers done. I'd say it's not flattened out. I'd say it's plateaued at the moment.
Is it because of schools and people going back to school, going back, and plus too, the weather's changing a little bit. Maybe we're going to start getting into that colder weather. Is this traditionally, I feel like this is the time where it really starts to taper off a little bit.
Yeah, it does for some agents. I always say we call it in the office the pumpkin latte syndrome, where as soon as pumpkin lattes come out at Starbucks, a lot of agents
Pumpkin
like
lattes.
Yeah,
Latte.
latte. People peace
It's
out.
just hot foam milk, right?
Hot foam milk, or hot orange foam milk.
The latte, the milk, I realized it's all coffee and milk. It just depends how they mix
Do you
the
know
milk.
what? Can I tell you a
It's
secret?
ridiculous. Marketing. There you
Do
go. Sorry.
almond milk instead of regular milk. It's
a lot.
No, oat milk's the trend now.
I haven't tried oat milk.
Get on oat milk, man.
What, Starbucks?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
They're always
that.
out
I'll
because
try
people
it.
just love
I'll
the
try
oat
it.
milk so much.
I think it's come down. I would say that I couldn't pinpoint a specific reason. It would be like, facetious of me to like pick something out. But I mean, in the summer, it's been a long, hot summer. I think some people got burnt out. I don't know how much schools have influenced stuff now. Historically, like families wouldn't want to move during the school year, but I think that with the shortage of inventory, people are just jumping in when they can.
Yeah.
Open houses big still?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of open houses. Yeah, I mean open houses, cold calling, sphere. There's all different things.
How about working with the other side of the agent? Like, I know there's a likability factor that has to come in with this, and as far as working with agents, seem like a lot of agents you make an offer, and a lot of them just don't get back to you. Is that happen a lot?
Sometimes. I mean, I don't normally have that issue unless I'm giving a weak offer because my client's unfortunately strapped to like do what needs to be done to get the deal done.
Yeah.
No, agents are pretty receptive. Like, I'm pretty penetrating on the phone.
Yeah.
And I can connect.
Is there a
with them.
different Matt we don't know about? It's like,
No, I mean, there's multiple
hard-nosed
Matts.
Matt.
There's multiple Matts, but the Matt on the phone, it gives good phone,
Yeah.
So you just got to do what gets it done. You got to find the hook, like the personal hook with the seller or the agent, and once you get that hook in, you can just
Reel it in, baby.
pull it through.
Yeah.
And you notice, I've kind of the oldest fashioned way, which is just referrals, right? Somebody knows somebody. That hasn't gone anywhere.
No,
Even
it's
in like
gone
the digital,
nowhere.
like that's still one of my best sources. Like what you do with whatever. But
I mean, a point you made earlier about how am I going to find my people for this business education? I think it's it's got to be mostly relationships, right?
yeah, every time I'll get stuff that like
Random.
I'll get stuff. My lower value cases sometimes come from online, right?
Yeah.
Because we're doing marketing. But the big ones, it's just so random that I can't even like one time this guy I knew at the gym. No, I didn't even know him. I knew the trainer she asked her randomly, I need an attorney, and it turned out to be a huge case. And she's like, I know him. And like, how do you duplicate that, right? That's just
You
like...
just got to circulate.
Yeah. You just got to go out there and put yourself out there, which that's never going to go anywhere. At the same time, you want to like provide more volume with kind of...
I think that's the same with all our businesses. I think cold calling is a big part of my business, and relationships is huge. Because and like yours, it's so competitive. And in the radio industry, I mean, there's probably 200 people that do the same thing I do in Vegas, and we're all looking for that same dollar.
Yeah.
So relationships is key in Vegas.
My best, my best things just come from when I didn't even expect it to come from. Just like being friendly with people, like literally not even like, oh, well, yeah, sure. That
You had to be nice to that guy?
I think it has something to do with, like, if you search attorneys, right? And like, I think that would be an intimidating thing if I ever, like people don't call attorneys every day. And so making that call, that's intimidating. And then afraid, because it's very true, of getting ripped off. I mean, the industry can really. I had one first place I worked for. I remember getting an assignment as a junior associate, and then and it was I can't get into the deals, but dumb issue. Yeah. And he's like, do a research project and then do a memo on this. And I get kind of down with the project, what it would take to get what the client kind of wanted with this. And I'm like, I'm already spending more just doing this. And so I go to the partner and I say, like, they can do this, but like it makes their life worse because of the money coming out to handle this problem. They could like just handle it this way. And his response is, that's not your business. They want a legal question answered. They want a legal, and that mentality is so prevalent in the attorney world. It's kind of like, I mean, I understand why people get intimidated because there is so much ripping off going on. And so I think that's why the friendship kind of, because then they form like this trust that you're not out there trying to like rake them over the coals necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like there's a personal factor where if they know you or like they refer you and then you talk to them, it's not cold. And like I had an experience where I was looking for an attorney and I spoke to like 3 people and I ended up doing it for like quarter of the price. And one attorney was like, came in too hard, like the fear, all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know. It's relationships are key.
Yeah.
You know? That's
Yeah.
it.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. Do you guys have anything else to say out there? I know, Matt, I want to say this, man. You had a situation. What's the earnest money deposit? People don't know what that is. That's money that you put down.
Yeah.
It's all over the board, right?
Well, it's when a property's listed, the earnest money deposit is an invitation from the seller to put something in the contract. Like, this is what we want. Like, everything in the contract's negotiable. And sometimes you offer more than what they're asking.
Yeah, but it's dictated by what's in the MLS sheet typically, right? Like
Okay,
the seller's
you
going to
say-
dictate, right?
No, the seller invites someone to like put that EMD down, and you can put a different number down and you can explain why, and they may or may not accept that. So it's not like set in stone. On like a 300K house, like, you know, like 3 to 5 grand ish or more if you want to.
So if I'm out there and I'm like, hey, I see this $600,000 home, there's 5 people going after it, just say, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put $10,000 down, even though the sheet says 5. I'm going to put 10 or I'm going to put 12 because it makes me look better. Can
you could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that usually get a deal accepted that way?
Same thing.
Maybe, but it just depends. There's like lots of other factors, like, you know, how much money you have. Like, there's multiple factors. It's not just the earnest money deposit. Like,
So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff to me that seems like we don't really know these details, but we're kind of giving the details a little bit because these questions are always questions that probably the average person out there doesn't know or doesn't ask. So it's good to get this information out.
Everything's negotiable, and if you give a person what they're asking for, they're more likely to accept what you're offering. But it's all like a formula. Like the EMD is one part, sales price.
Yeah. What about cash buyers? Like, are you seeing cash buyers dominate this market right now?
When they show up and they want something, you know, like it depends. It just depends. Like a well-structured financed offer can be a cash offer. It just depends.
Yeah.
You know, there's no specific rule.
I want to say this last thing here. Also, you have a charity that you're doing, right? Is that
Right.
right? Can you present that on the show? Because if somebody's listening this long, I hope they are.
Yeah.
Then you go ahead and give that
Obviously,
information.
thanks. Yeah, we're putting on our 32nd annual Candle Lighter for Childhood Cancer 5K this Saturday. We've raised over $3.6 million for this small charity in Las Vegas that does some incredible things for families that have a child that are struggling with cancer. And you know, but if you're interested and you want to come out and walk or run and support a great cause, you know, it's at candlelightersnv.org, and we'd love to have you guys out there. But thank you.
And that's a great cause. I'll just sign off with saying kind of on the charity for the child cancer. My mom was actually diagnosed with ALS a few years ago. I don't even know. It's a terrible kind of paralyzing disease. What I didn't realize when people talk about charity events or whatnot is that these are absolutely critical to provide advancement for treatments and for just care. ALS really didn't get any sort of anywhere as far as treatment options until like the last 6 or 7 years, which was a direct result of a ice bucket challenge that was going on at the time.
Sure.
And so there is a fight for the piece of the pie, and you just can't get funding unless people are aware, and that's what it means by awareness. So, you know, props to you for putting that on.
Vegas is so generous. They are just
Are they really?
unbelievable. I've never been in another market, even though most of my life I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
But in every other market that I've worked with, nobody's more generous than Las Vegas. I mean, they come out. I mean, this 5K that I put on, or the big toy drive that KLEC puts on, and it all goes towards some great causes. But people step up there in some very difficult times here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. We'll have everybody back on here at another time, I'm sure. Mark, you want to come back on? Hopefully you'll come back on maybe down the road.
Yeah, if you have me,
And,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's been great. And you guys out there, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Also, hit the like button. We're trying to grow the channel. If you guys want to get a hold of Matt, it's Matt, go ahead and throw your name out there, man.
Yeah, Matt Shield with Simply Vegas.
Shield Team 6, right?
Shield Team 6.
And I love it. Joe, you got Joe Dragon Group over here, right?
Dragon Law Group.
Dragon Law Group. I'm sorry.
Professional. Yeah.
Sorry.
Easy name to remember. It's the mythical beast. Just type it in Google. There you go.
All right, guys, we're out of here. You guys, thank you so much. We'll see you at the next stream on Saturday. Please tune in. We're going to have another great guest. And I'm Dan French. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench Podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.